Antarctica. A land of mystery, ice, penguins, and of course, ridiculously cold temperatures. A land so inhospitable that its discovery was not recorded until 1820, when a Russian expedition led by Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen and Mikhail Lazarev sighted the land. Antarctica is the coldest place on planet Earth. The coldest temperature ever recorded was negative 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit. In the age of exploration and heroes, Antarctica had seized the minds of adventurous men, creating the desire to conquer the continent. One such man was Ernest Shackleton.
Hey Charles, check it out. I just got a whole bunch of more horse books in the mail, like Sunday Silence and Ruffian. Oh, and this one's gonna be... It's the middle of summer! What in blue blazes are you doing?
I've got to be in costume for the story of Ernest Shackleton and the Endurance.
I was right all along. You are insane. Come talk to me when you're sane again about this book.
I'm proud of my insanity.
Whatever!
Hello, I'm Charles.
And I'm James.
We love history, and we want to share our love of history with you.
And today we are beginning our series on the Ernest Shackleton expedition. The failed expedition that, against all odds, everyone survived.
Yes, this story is absolutely amazing, and it's a story that must always be told. What the men went through, the trials, and the short tempers that flared up at times. But yet, through Shackleton's leadership, and also Captain Woolsey, they were able to survive against all odds. By all accounts, they should not have survived.
And yet, they did.
Yes. And so this is part one of our series on Ernest Shackleton's successfully failed expedition. Shackleton, son of a middle-class physician, joined the British Mercantile Navy when he was 16. However, Shackleton desired greater adventure than this. This desire was gratified in 1901 when Shackleton joined the famous British explorer Robert Scott and the National Antarctic Expedition. This expedition made the deepest penetration of Antarctica ever, but yet failed to reach its goal of the South Pole by 745 miles. When the expedition reached the coast, they were half frozen and starving. Shackleton barely survived, but he learned valuable lessons in Arctic exploration and survival. You would think that a near-death experience would discourage someone from doing something that dangerous ever again. Well, not Shackleton!
In 1907, Shackleton went to Antarctica again, this time as leader. This expedition was much more successful. However, the expedition still did not make it to the pole. They were a mere 97 miles from their goal. However, the supplies were running short. Shackleton made the painful order to turn around. It was well that he did, as they ran out of food on the return journey. Happily, Shackleton brought all his men home. A part of the expedition was able to successfully climb for the first time the volcanic Mount Erebus at 12,448 feet. Scott, too, would return to conquer the pole, but would discover a Norwegian flag flying from Roald Amundsen's expedition already there. Tragically, all of Scott's party would die of cold, hunger, and malnutrition on the return journey. Shackleton seemed unwilling to submit to the demands of ordinary life. Shackleton didn't fit the ordinary mold, leading many to think that he was immature and irresponsible. However, many great leaders of history do not fit the ordinary mold. Say like Napoleon when he was at school and was very much unpopular. Unless of course he was playing war games, then you want him at all times, because he just tended to cream everybody. Well, Shackleton had a desire to return to the Antarctic. Part of this was the desire for wealth to keep his wife in the financial comfort she was accustomed to. To accomplish this, he thought of a multiplicity of quick get-rich schemes that either didn't get beyond the talking stage, or if they did, failed. He felt that a feat of daring, worthy of capturing the world's imagination, would bring the fame and fortune he desired.
However, with both poles now conquered, Shackleton needed a different feat of daring. His idea was not just to reach the South Pole, but to cross the entire continent. To fund this dream, Shackleton had to convince many wealthy patrons and raise public donations, and even raise money from the prospective film and photo rights. Having raised enough money, Shackleton purchased from a Norwegian firm a coal-powered, three-masted brigantine named the Polaris. The Polaris was masterfully designed to withstand what the Arctic could throw at her. She was originally built for tourists touring the Arctic. Her thick wooden hull was designed for ramming ice. Built with oak, Norwegian fir, and greenheart, a wood so tough that it could not be worked by conventional methods. She seemed perfect for Shackleton. Shackleton renamed her Endurance, after his family motto, Fortitudine Vincimus. By endurance, we conquer.
Next, Shackleton needed a crew. Tradition states that Shackleton placed an ad in a paper which said, "Men wanted for hazardous journey, low wages, bitter cold, long hours of complete darkness, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in the event of success." No evidence has yet proved this, and it is probably just a legend. There is a reward if you can prove it though. In any case, Shackleton had no want for applicants. Thousands tried to get on the voyage. A 15-year-old boy, and even women tried to join. Some crew picks were easy as they had already made previous Arctic expeditions with Shackleton or other explorers. To fill up the rest of his ranks, Shackleton had short interviews. No record exists of an interview taking longer than 5 minutes. Shackleton's methods were certainly unorthodox. If he didn't like the looks of the man, Shackleton never even considered the applicant. If he did like the looks or personality of an applicant, Shackleton might pick him. Shackleton's intuition rarely failed. Everything was ready to go. But then the mission was almost derailed because Archduke Franz Ferdinand of the Austro-Hungarian Empire decided to take a car ride with the top down. One thing led to another, and Europe then started to declare war on each other. The day King George V presented the expedition with a Union Jack, the United Kingdom declared war. Shackleton's position was unenviable. If he proceeded with the expedition, he would abandon his duty to his country. If he stayed, he would be abandoning his financiers. Shackleton sent a wire to the Admiralty offering the expedition's services to the country. The reply was simple: proceed. A longer wire from First Lord of the Admiralty, Winston Churchill, yes, that Winston Churchill, stated that the government desired them to complete their mission.
One might think that the expedition...
Got a glitch for this mission.
The plan was simple. The expedition's last contact would be the whaling station on South Georgia Island. From there, the Endurance would sail across the Weddell Sea and land Shackleton and his team on the Antarctic coast. From there, Shackleton and his party would travel straight across the continent and South Pole using sled dogs. On the other side of the continent, another team would provide supply depots from the coast to the South Pole. While on the docks of London, a woman questioned the dangers and Shackleton's leadership abilities to Third Officer Alfred Cheatham. To which he replied, "Aye, he's a fine leader, he is. He don't run you into any danger if he can help it. But, by gum, if there's danger, he goes first." The Endurance sailed to Buenos Aires, Argentina, to meet up with the rest of the members of the expedition. And, as it turned out, for a crew shake-up as well. For Shackleton discharged some of the crew for drunkenness. Needless to say, new crew members were not hard to find. When the Endurance was too far away from land to turn back, 2 crew members came forward with a stowaway that they had smuggled aboard. Understandably, Shackleton was not pleased. In fact, few men could be more foreboding than Shackleton in a rage. Shackleton soundly berated the terrified 18-year-old Percy Blackburrow. All while the ship's tomcat, Mrs. Chippy, they originally thought that he was a girl, hence the name Mrs. Chippy, was purring against Shackleton's legs. Shackleton then paused in the height of his berating and thundered, "Finally, if we run out of food and anyone has to be eaten, you will be first. Do you understand?" Blackburrow's boyish face slowly smiled and nodded. Shackleton then ordered that the new crew member first meet the cook.
On November 5th, 1914, the Endurance arrived at the Grytviken whaling station, South Georgia Island, where they received bad news. The ice conditions in the Weddell Sea, which were never great, were the worst in living memory. Shackleton waited a month, hoping that the ice conditions would improve. In the meantime, Shackleton used the time wisely to learn as much as he could from experienced whalers. When the Endurance finally left South Georgia, it was the last civilization that the men would see for a long time. Two days later, the enemy showed itself. The first was just light ice, but later the ship faced heavy pack ice. Shackleton wrote in his diary on December 9th, 1914, "I had been prepared for evil conditions in the Weddell Sea, but I hoped that in December and January the pack would become loose, even if no open water was to be found. What we are encountering was fairly dense pack of an obstinate nature." For weeks, the Endurance worked her way through the pack. Progress was slow, as the Endurance had to pick her way, plow her way through the pack ice, or sometimes was stopped altogether. Shackleton had hoped to be on land by the end of December and the beginning of summer, but Shackleton had not yet crossed the Antarctic Circle. Disappointing as the progress was, the crew festively celebrated Christmas. Greenstreet recorded in his diary, Here endeth another Christmas day. I wonder how and under what circumstances our next one will be spent. Temperature 30 degrees. Everyone would have been shocked had they been told the answer.
Okay, that's going to be the end of part 1 of our series on Shackleton's Voyage of Endurance.
So if you want to be informed of when we upload the next part, whenever we get around to that, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so that you can be notified immediately.
And if you like this, please like the video, comment, and share it with your friends who you think might be interested in learning about this story.
Yes, this is a very interesting story, and I think you will not be disappointed in how it all goes.
And so, until our next adventure, see you later.